Look, let's just dive straight into this. Picture your cap table right now. Got it in your head? Okay, now put that cap table under the massive pressure of today's fundraising environment. It's totally different than it was a couple of years ago, right? Welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing a deep dive into something absolutely crucial for founders, building your equity preservation moat.
Exactly. We've got some genuinely eye-opening data from the FundRobin team today. If you're a founder trying to scale right now, you absolutely have to understand how to protect your ownership while still, fueling that growth.
So let's kick things off with a question that probably hits a little too close to home for a lot of you. Are you giving away too much equity just to keep the lights on? I mean, you know how incredibly frustrating it is. You pour your heart, your soul into building this product, and then you're faced with this grim reality of surrendering huge chunks of your company just to survive a bear market. It's such a brutal trade-off. You're basically mortgaging your future wealth just to cover a short-term cash flow gap today. But as you'll see in the data, that survival tactic, it comes with a staggering long-term cost.
And what's really wild is the sheer scale of the shift we're seeing. Recent data shows that VC funding has actually dropped by about 35% from its peak.
Right. And that drop, that's not just some scary headline to read over your morning coffee. That is a direct threat to your valuation. The old playbook of just going out and racing easy, highly valued equity, it's completely broken. In this depressed market, literally every single dollar you raise costs you significantly more in equity than it did 3 years ago. The rules have totally changed. You need a new strategy.
And we really want you to visualize the long-term math here. Let's say you surrender an extra 15% of your equity at the seed stage just to bridge a runway gap. At the time, it feels like a necessary evil, right? Yeah, but think about the long game. Based on recent data looking at founder dilution patterns, that early 15% dilution translates to over $15 million in lost personal wealth on a $100 million exit. Think about that. You're literally paying $15 million tomorrow for just a fraction of that today. It's wild. But hey, do not panic. This problem is totally solvable and you have real options. Today, we're giving you a structured map to take back control.
Right. So our roadmap for this explainer. First, the founder's dilution trap. Second, your equity preservation moat. Third, mapping non-dilutive capital. Fourth, the AI automation advantage. And finally, building your capital stack. Let's jump in.
Okay, part 1, the founder's dilution trap. We're looking at the true operational cost of raising capital today.
When we talk about the operational cost of raising capital, we absolutely have to talk about the fundraising treadmill. According to recent research, 45% of founders report significant operational inefficiency during their fundraising cycles. I mean, just think about your own day-to-day. The sheer distraction of pitching, the traveling, the endless negotiating, it totally stalls your product velocity and it drains the whole team's energy. It leads straight to burnout for so many. You're constantly being pulled away from actually building the business you're trying to fund in the first place. Which brings us to Section 2, your equity preservation moat, how to defend your cap table with non-dilutive capital. This is the aha moment. This is where we shift from playing defense to playing strategic offense. An equity preservation mode is essentially substituting expensive equity capital with non-dilutive grants during your seed and pre-series A stages.
Exactly. I want you to picture using grants as this equity-free fuel for your balance sheet. It's a really practical, rigorous strategy. Instead of taking on highly dilutive capital when your valuation is sitting at its lowest, you inject your company with funds that do not demand a single percentage point of your ownership in return.
And when you compare your options, grants, venture debt, and revenue-based financing, the hierarchy becomes incredibly clear.
Oh, for sure. The math just makes it obvious. Grants give you a 0% cost of capital and 0% equity surrender, period. The only real drawback historically has been the time it takes to apply. Now, compare that to venture debt. That carries 8 to 15% interest rates that absolutely stifle your cash flow, plus warrants that still dilute you.
Right. And then you have revenue-based financing. Sure, it's flexible, but it comes with repayment caps of 1.3 to 2.5 times your principal. That directly eats into your gross margins exactly when you desperately need to be reinvesting in growth. Mathematically speaking, free money from grants outshines debt and RBF every single time. Moving to Section 3, mapping non-dilutive capital. Where exactly is this funding located? So we know grants are mathematically superior, right? But not all capital is created equal, and you actually need to know where to look. First up, you've got government innovation grants like Innovate UK or the European Innovation Council. We're talking anywhere from £25,000 to £2.5 million.
And if you're in the US, you have SBIR and STTR awards. These federal programs award over $4 billion annually to early-stage tech companies. Over $4 billion. Then you have revenue-based financing, which, like we just said, should really only be used as a highly calculated tactical bridge.
Oh, and you definitely cannot forget R&D tax credits. In the UK, HMRC can return up to 33% of qualifying expenditures. The US has similar benefits under IRC Section 41. And honestly, the best part, these tax credits can actually stack right on top of your grant funding.
But okay, here is a stat that will honestly make you pause. Picture this scenario. Out of surveyed UK startup founders, a massive 68% were completely unaware of Innovate UK's SME funding streams. And get this, their businesses actually qualified.
That is just a staggering missed opportunity. Please do not leave this massive strategic financial lever on the table just because you didn't know it existed or you assumed it wasn't for you. The capital is out there waiting.
All right, Section 4, the AI automation advantage, how we eliminate the traditional friction of grant writing.
So, you might be asking, if it's so great, why aren't more founders doing this? Well, we have to address the elephant in the room: time. The old hard way, it required 40 to 80 hours of manual narrative drafting per competitive grant, scouring databases, formatting 50-page documents. Honestly, it was enough to make a CEO literally want to cry into their keyboard.
Oh, totally. But the new smart way uses grounded AI and automation. According to recent data, AI-driven platforms can cut that massive administrative burden down to just 4 to 8 hours. You are effectively reducing the time cost by up to 80%. That completely flips the ROI equation on its head.
But of course, you might be wondering, is AI actually safe to use for strict government grants? And the answer is absolutely yes, as long as it's grounded AI.
Right, exactly. We aren't talking about a generic language model here. Grounded AI adheres strictly to funder requirements, and it utilizes your company's actual data, no hallucinated facts whatsoever. It follows a proven human-in-the-loop model, which ensures quality and strict compliance.
And by dropping the time investment so drastically, even a highly competitive 10 to 15% success rate suddenly becomes totally operationally viable because you can safely crank out a high volume of applications. Plus, these platforms are more accessible than ever. The FundRobin team offers tools starting at just £49 a month for growth stages. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Building Your Capital Stack, the step-by-step strategic playbook.
All right, we've talked a lot of theory. Now let's get into your concrete 5-step roadmap. Step 1, audit your cap table and calculate your exact runway. Find out exactly where you can defer equity raises. Step 2, identify eligible grants tailored for your specific stage and sector.
Step 3 is absolutely critical. Build a pipeline. Don't just apply for one grant and cross your fingers. Treat it like a sales pipeline and aim for 5 to 8 active applications at a time. Volume is everything. Step 4, layer those tax credits for a double dip, which maximizes the value of every single dollar you spend on innovation. And finally, Step 5, validate for VCs. Use these wins as third-party technical validation.
Because here's the real secret. This whole strategy isn't just about survival, it's about gaining massive leverage. Grants act as venture philanthropy. Winning rigorous technical due diligence from government bodies strongly signals de-risked value to your future private investors.
And the data totally backs this up. Small Business Administration data shows that startups securing grants before Series A typically retain 10 to 20% more equity than those who rely solely on venture funding.
When you layer those grants with R&D tax credits, a strategic CFO can completely optimize your cash flow cycle and present a pristine, validated cap table to investors. So, we want to leave you with this really powerful thought from this deep dive. In a bear market, equity is the most expensive currency you hold. And that comes straight from this guide. It really truly is. The founders who emerge from this cycle with their ownership actually intact are going to be the ones who utilized every single lever they could to avoid unnecessary dilution. So protect your value, extend that runway, start building your moat today. You might even want to look into tools like a guided 30-day showcase trial just to kickstart the whole process. Exactly. Do not let operational friction cost you millions at exit. Take control of your capital stack. So as you look at your own runway today, we leave you with this. Are you building a moat or are you just digging a deeper hole? Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we'll catch you in the next one.